Okay, so let's talk about Alien Romulus. This is the next film from Fede Alvarez, and this is one of the movies that we're so excited for. So we just got the trailer this week, we got a poster, and we definitely got a lot of information from Fede about the film, which apparently James Cameron and Ridley Scott both pretty much enjoy the film, they said. So this takes place in between both films, Alien and Aliens. According to Fede, it takes place 20 years after the first Alien, a couple of decades before Aliens. And so we were laid out with a timeline, which I'm going to show you right here. Well, if we go based on what Fede told Games Radar, he said it takes place 20 years after the first film, and he goes on to say that Alien takes place in 2122, whereas Aliens has taken place in 2179, so Alien Romulus pretty much falls in 2142. So somewhere right there in the middle. And Fede also talked about how they wanted to make a story about sort of the kids that are starting this colony here, and how their life would be right here in the middle of everything that's going on. And so the cast is pretty much led by a very young cast of Kaylee Spaney, Isabella Merced, David Johnson, Archie Renault, Spike Fern, and Aileen Wu. According to things we know, it's going to take place with these like scavengers who meet a xenomorph inside a dilapidated space station. So apparently Fede says that this idea of starting to follow these young people who are in this colony came from a deleted scene that James Cameron actually had for their film Aliens, in which we see this as well, that was later added to a special edition. So this is what he had to say to The Hollywood Reporter. There's a moment where you see a bunch of kids running and riding a big wheel around the corridors of this colony. And I thought, wow, what would it be like for those kids to grow up in a colony that still needs another 50 years to terraform? So I remember thinking, if I ever tell a story in that world, I would definitely be interested in those kids when they reach their early 20s. And one thing we also found out during this sit down is that this film was apparently just going to go to streaming to Hulu, and that the studio itself, once they started principal photography, were like, you know what? And according to Fede, they said, F this, we're going to theaters with this. And so Fede also talked about the other Alien movies and said, I love all of those movies. I didn't want to omit or ignore any of them. When it comes to connections at a story level, character level, technology level, and creature level, there's always connection from Alien to Alien Covenant. And so Fede also talked to IGN about the connections to the rest of the movies and say the way this movie works is if you haven't seen any of them, you'll have a blast. But if you have, I've been saying you'll be that person in the theater that won't shut up. Just talking to the person next to you going like, this is from that movie and that's from this. And they said this because of that reason. He also says, and you'll pick up on a billion things that connect with other movies story-wise, technology-wise, and character-wise. We went to crazy extents to make sure that things were in canon and we're not contradicting or messing, I would say, any of them. It's just something very special when you love certain movies and then the movie comes in and makes nods to them and you feel you're the only person in the theater who must be getting this reference. That's what it feels like. It's really tailor-made for you. That's my goal for true fans out there, that they will have the experience they've been waiting for. So a little bit of a synopsis here we read is, while scavenging the deep ends of a derelict space station, a group of young space colonizers come face to face with the most terrifying life form in the universe. So all that to say that this is definitely one of our most anticipated films so far. That trailer was just amazing and really just gives you the vibes that we want from this movie. Back to the horror roots, back to that very suspense and thrilling vibes that Alien is. I enjoy Prometheus and I enjoy the other movies as well that came after, but I think that the movies were starting to lack a sort of sense of horror, and this is giving me Alien Isolation. So if you've ever played that, you know what I'm talking about right there, and I'm excited if that's the way that this movie is going to go. And I think Fede knows how to balance that suspense. We've seen it in Don't Breathe, we've seen it with Evil Dead, and I'm excited to see what they're going to cook up with Romulus here. So one thing I think is interesting is the story of Romulus, which is a myth about the creator of Rome, as well as with their brother Remus. So I think that we're going to get a story here that deals with siblinghood, and I think they've already talked about that as well, and I want to go deeper into that with my theories about this film and what it could possibly be, but that's a whole other video. Here we were just discussing what Fede had to say about the film and everything we have to look forward to, but with Scott and Cameron both giving high praise to the film, it doing well with test audiences, and the studio themselves saying, you know what, this goes straight to theaters, there's just no denying that this is about to be a hit with a very, very good blockbuster and summer release date. There is so much faith riding on this film right right now that I just don't think that we're ready for what's about to come. So very excited for it, but let me know what you think about this whole idea of choosing to focus on a younger sort of demographic when it comes to the film as well. And some of these might not be that experienced to handle anything. So imagine them trying to handle Xenomorph. We're probably going to get some very interesting and insane shots here. And according to Isabel Merced, there was a scene where a lot of the crew members couldn't even look at what was happening. But we're very much so excited to see what that scene was and the whole movie as a whole. So let me know what you think about Alien Romulus, if you're excited for it, if you're going to be watching it in theaters, and what are you most anticipating for this movie. Let me know in the comments down below. But like I said, theories and all of that about the title, what it could mean for the franchise, and where do we go next from here. That video will be coming out next week, so make sure you are subscribed, hitting the notification bell. On the road to 30,000 subscribers, less than 2,000 to go. Check out our reviews for Late Night with the Devil and Immaculate, both opening up this weekend, as well as The Ending Explains to Both, where we discuss the movies and what we thought about that ending. But as always, follow us on website www.culturelixir.com, as well as our other social media sites, which include Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok, all provided somewhere here or in the description or on our YouTube page. But as always, I'll see all of you next time. Stay safe, stay positive.